The evidence clearly showed that what they used was physically, forensically, logically impossible.
Keith Carnes spent 18 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit.
There's just so much inconsistencies all the way through all of them, but the confidential informant paper, it wasn't given any descriptions or any names or anything.
He was charged with murder after a police informant lied, accusing him of killing a Missouri man.
The cases of wrongful convictions is because of a witness, the eyewitnesses that either the police or the prosecutor has threatened or did something to.
Years later, the informant admits to pinning the crime on Carnes after being pressured from a dirty cop. After spending 18 years in a Missouri prison, Keith Carnes is now a free man, but his freedom comes nearly 2 decades too late.
My innocence was my motivation, my innocence. That's what pushed me, kept me positive, kept me grounded in the Word of God.
Carnes always maintained his innocence after he was accused of murdering alleged drug dealer Larry White in 2003 in Kansas City, Missouri. Prosecutors banked on eyewitnesses Wendy Lockett and Lorraine Morrow, who named Carnes as the shooter. But in 2014, Morrow later recanted her testimony, claiming she was coerced into naming Carnes as the shooter. Lockett also recanted her testimony, according to the Kansas City Star.
A botched investigation, by the Kansas City Police Department.
Carnes' luck started turning around after the witnesses recanted their testimony, and the Missouri Supreme Court threw out Carnes' murder conviction after it determined prosecutors failed to disclose material evidence.
Had a jury known that this confidential informant paper existed and it didn't say anything a day after the crime, but now here it is. Now you're so specific to know all these intricate facts and details, and it just showed that they didn't believe in the outcome of a fair trial.
But over-reliance on eyewitness accounts are common in wrongful conviction cases, says attorney Chris Eliff.
Jailhouse snitches, eyewitness identifications that are either false, knowingly false, or inaccurate are involved in close to 50% of cases where wrongful convictions occur.
The Justice Department lists 3 different kinds of informants: police informants, citizen informants, and criminal or jailhouse informants. The Innocence Project says in 15% of wrongful conviction cases overturned through DNA testing, statements from people with incentives to testify were critical evidence used to convict innocent people. Daryl Burton was exonerated in 2008 after he was accused of murdering a man in 1984.
We telling you from experience, so it's bigger than just getting them out.
In Burton's case, 2 eyewitnesses claimed he shot and killed Donald Ball at a gas station in St. Louis, Missouri. 5 months after Burton was sentenced to life in prison, one of the witnesses recanted his testimony after admitting he lied and made a deal with prosecutors in exchange for testimony. Despite this, Burton still spent 23 years in prison before his release.
That's a lot of prosecutors and a lot of police who have intentionally, violated the rights of people like Keith Carnes, Lamont McIntyre, Daryl Burton, and so many others. And there are cases right now where people are just, not able to come home.
To provide an added check on the use of informants in criminal trials, some lawmakers in Missouri introduced legislation in January called the Informant Reliability Act that would create a record tracking informants used by prosecutors in criminal cases. It would also disclose if an informant receives a benefit in exchange for providing testimony. The prosecuting attorney would have to tell the victim of the benefit the informant is receiving.
What this does, it doesn't mean you can't use legitimate eyewitnesses, but if a witness has been given something for his or her testimony, has been promised something, or has been threatened that if they don't testify that something bad will happen to them, all of that needs to come out well before trial.
So far, the legislation has not been scheduled for a hearing in the Missouri General Assembly, but it's measures like these that could help cut down on wrongful convictions that disproportionately impact Black people, who make up the majority of the innocent defendants, according to the National Registry of Exonerations.
My innocence, that's what pushed me, kept me positive, kept me grounded in the Word of God.
As for Carnes, he's grateful for his lawyers, part of the Miracle of Innocence organization. His legal team were able to exploit the unreliable eyewitness testimony that helped overturn his 2006 conviction, leading to his release from prison last week.
It's a real good feeling seeing family, loved ones, and supporters.
Carnes is now living with family as he tries to restart his life. He's also launched a GoFundMe to help with his expenses. Reporting for Atlanta Black Star, I'm Cavante Smalls.